I'd like to start by showing the possible 5 access routes to the proposed development site, both for HGVs during the building process and for potential future residents. The site here is shown in yellow. I've also highlighted the West Coast Railway line to the east in orange and the M6 motorway also to the east in blue. Starting from the most northern point, the first entry is Borough Road, located 2.5 kilometres north of the site. Five Ashes Lane is next, located 2 kilometres north of the site, opposite Lancaster University. Access to Tarnwater Lane is located 3 kilometres northwest of the proposed site. And access to Conda Green Road is located 3.3 kilometres west of the site. Finally, the junction with Salford Road is located 650 metres southeast from the proposed development site. I'd like to go through these in a little more detail to ascertain what part they could potentially play in the development of the site. On Borough Road, the traffic turns off the A6 towards South Lancaster and immediately encounters a single track road with a 90-degree bend, before passing over the West Coast Main Line Railway Bridge number 83. It is signposted as unsuitable for heavy goods vehicles as they cannot physically manoeuvre around the bend, nor over the width restricted bridge measuring 3.85 metres wide. Cars and rigid vehicles cannot pass on this section. This is not suitable potential access for HGVs to the proposed development site. Let's move on. Access route 2 is via Five Ashes Lane. Traffic turns off the A6 opposite Lancaster University onto a single track road and encounters a short rise to a narrow 90-degree bend before passing over the West Coast Main Line Railway Bridge number 82. It is signposted as unsuitable for heavy goods vehicles, as again they cannot physically get around the bend nor over the width restricted bridge measuring 3.65 metres. This access point is also not suitable for HGVs to the development site. Route 3 is via Tarnwater Lane. Turning in from the A588 this time, this is strictly a single track road, used most commonly by farm vehicles. At only 2.5 metres wide in many places, with very few passing opportunities, it is virtually unusable to anything other than local cars and required farm vehicles. It also has a small 3.65 metre wide bridge over the Lancaster Canal. This is also not suitable potential access to the proposed development site. Route 4 is via Conda Green Road. Again turning in from the A588, this is a single track road used mostly by farm vehicles with a few passing places carved from the hedgerows. There is a severe humpback bridge over the Lancaster Canal with a width restriction of 3.65 metres. The road is signed as unsuitable for wide or long vehicles and has a 6-foot 6-inch width limit. This is also not a suitable access to the proposed development site. Which brings us to the final and most likely access route, Salford Road. This is the main A6 junction in the centre of Galgate, which is 1.2 kilometres from the M6 motorway junction and 650 metres from the development site. In theory, this access route would seem the most suitable. However, in practice, many road hazards converge in one short 300-metre section. It's a vehicle-restricted single-track road with traffic flow taking turns. There's a severe lack of resident parking which exacerbates the situation. It winds under the railway viaduct number 79 with reduced visibility through the chicane and meets the River Conda over a humpback bridge on its way. Two rigid vehicles cannot pass in many places. This is the sole access for vehicles to the A6 and M6 funnelled down Salford Road from the west side of Galgate. It's also the only access for pedestrians to public transport, facilities, schools and amenities in the village. Rather than showing you a tally chart of vehicle movements or a report of tabulated statistics, I would like to show you video examples of the reality of the west side of Galgate suffers along this hazardous stretch of Salford Road. I'm facing south on Highland Brow, just approaching the 20 mph speed limit into Golgate. I'm in the southeast corner of the proposed site, and the entrance would be here through this hedgerow. Highland Brow is a residential road about 7 metres wide, with pavements about 2 metres wide on both sides. The main West Coast railway line runs parallel down the east side. Highland Brow is the main access road for the whole of the west side of the village into Golgate, the A6 and the motorway. There are 5 junctions that join from the west, funneling the traffic onto Salford Road. This is the doctor's surgery. Patients always park here and cross the road into the surgery. This is the last junction, joining on the right. Welcome to Salford Road. It's now 300 metres to the A6 junction, and this is the section we're going to take a look at in more detail. The road narrows considerably, and residents' cars are parked along the right-hand side at all times. This narrows Salford Road to the width of a single carriageway. The pavements on both sides of the road also narrow to less than 1 metre. Salford Road becomes a hazardous single carriageway where traffic has to take turns in each direction. Heading towards the bridge, the road narrows and there are small passing places at best. The pavement is only 80 centimetres wide, narrowing to 60 centimetres around the lamppost. High walls prevent any escape from the traffic. You can now observe life as a pedestrian going to and from school and Golgate's amenities. This gap is the only space this pedestrian has to push a pram. How will they get around the lamppost? Adding to this, there is an S-shape in the road under the viaduct, making visibility difficult for approaching vehicles. Once through the viaduct, there's a humpback bridge over the River Conda. With cars always parked on the right-hand side, this is the space left for the oncoming traffic. We are now approaching the main traffic light controlled A6 junction. This is the only potential access route for all the building materials to the proposed development. This will include articulated lorries, thousands of 20-ton 8-wheeled HGVs and the residents' vehicles. This is the traffic that can't get through due to the outgoing traffic and parked cars. We're now here at the A6 heading to the M6. Sometimes the traffic backs up all the way to the motorway. I'll just stand back and observe the entrance to Salford Road for a minute. The lights change to green, but the traffic can't turn into Salford Road. The lights are now red again, and no cars entered Salford Road due to the width restriction. It demonstrates a completely dysfunctional road which operates in one direction at a time. The junction is a circus of cars trying to avoid each other. Watch the traffic lights and observe the manoeuvres. It would be highly irresponsible to add articulated lorries or HGVs to this equation, wouldn't it? I've taken width measurements at 17 places along this 300-metre section of Salford Road. The figures in red show pavement widths less than 100 centimetres. 94% of this section has pavement widths below 120 centimetres, the minimum recommended by the Disability Discrimination Act. And large sections of the road fall well below the recommended 4.8 metres width for a car to pass a rigid vehicle. I'll now show you some highlighted examples of some of those restrictions in action. Parents with children walking home from the local primary school use the narrow pavement down the right hand side. Here it measures 90 centimetres wide and is only pedestrian access to the whole of the west side of Goldgate. Pedestrians can't use the pavement on the other side of Salford Road, and there's no pedestrian access crossing to get there. This is the only pedestrian access to school, shops and public transport. This lady is pushing her baby down the pavement as the pram wobbles up and down each drop curb. It's 90 centimetres wide with no alternative route to take. The pram wheel is only 10 centimetres away from dropping off the edge of the curb. I have actually witnessed a baby being tipped into the road. Here the functional road width reduces to 3.5 metres and cars can no longer pass. When it gets bad enough, local residents or drivers get out of the car to direct the traffic. The pavement is not wide enough for pedestrians to pass safely. Here a pedestrian steps out in front of a car to pass pedestrians coming the other way. Here are a few examples under the railway bridge. You can see the congestion. Here is a quote from County Highways. The A6 Main Road Salford Road Signal Control Junction currently has capacity issues at peak times and experiences high levels of congestion. And the proposed increase in vehicle movements is therefore unacceptable. Parking on Salford Road also currently impacts on the operation of the junction. There is a lack of a suitable footway from the junction of Salford Road and Highland Brow to the junction of Salford Road on the A6 to access local facilities. Sections of the existing footway provision are less than 1 metre in width, therefore not suitable to support all footway users.